welcome to Shed Talk, my weekly magazine video series looking at the keeping, breeding and showing of cage birds with a particular focus, as usual, on the exhibition style budgerigar. So in this episode, what I thought we would do is get some new pairs out to replace the struggling pairs, shall we say, in the various cages. There's a couple of cages, I've got one empty, and there's a couple of other cages where the hen needs to be replaced at the bare minimum. So we're going to have a look at those. I've got my spreadsheet up so I can do some initial paper pairing to see what I think ought to go together and ought to be the next in the cages. Whilst I'm doing that, whilst I'm looking through that, I know lots of people were rooting for the young bird with the splayed legs in cage number 5. So why don't we go over and have a quick check on that while I'm pairing up on paper. So here we go then. Here's the two youngsters out of this nest box. Not totally happy with me. I'll look at the what is the youngest one but looks like the oldest one. So this one here, and that's going to be a light green by the looks of it, a normal light green. The cheek patches do look a little bit like they might be different, but no, normal light green, certain of that. I do need to keep the rings clean, as you can, yeah, so the rings getting a little bit messy on this one, although the nest box isn't too bad. I will give that ring a good clean before I put this chick back. And certainly before I put the nest box back. It's a little bit messy around the vent as well, so I need to keep an eye on this chick. But otherwise looks quite healthy, I think you'll agree. Now let's have a look at the oldest one, or the one that is with the splayed legs. I do regularly check this one over, and in particular where I've joined this together to make sure it's not too bad there, and also that it's not injuring the youngster's belly too much. The bird is now seems to be doing reasonably well. Colour on this one's still a little bit difficult to see from my eye, but possibly definitely going to be green. But other than that, let me know your thoughts, whether you think it's what sort of green you think this is going to be. Because it's behind where it was splayed legs and I think was struggling to feed. I'm not sure how well this bird is going to catch up, but it certainly seems to be doing okay now on its legs. But I'm not going to take this correction off just yet. I will give it another few days just to make doubly sure that its legs have been fixed. But so far so good for this, so thanks everybody for the feedback. Yeah, we'll pop these back in, or I'll put the nest box back on, the inner back on, and time to have a look at some possible new pairs. So these are the first of the pairs that we're going to look at, a brand new pair. We've got a normal light green hen, which is a 2023 young bird. If I can get her to turn around and go on to the other perch, maybe. There we go. So this is a big hen, a biggish hen anyway, as you can probably see, and see if I can get her to turn around again. So very broad, big width across the face and the shoulders, reasonable depth of mask on her, and she has a little bit of width between the eyes, but over the top is quite henny, so perhaps lacks a bit behind the eye, if anything. And she doesn't stand brilliantly, but she's not too bad. And then we've got the Lutino, which you will remember was an outcross bred for us last year, this Lutino. And does have a nice, or tends to have a nice stance about him. Bred reasonably well for us last year and bred that very nice yellow face that's in cage number 1. So if we get some more like him, but with a bit of width that this hen's got, I would be quite happy with that. They're both 2023 rung birds, so they should be okay. They're only a couple of years old. Yeah, I think these two will complement each other very nicely. They're not, as you probably gather, they're not related at all because we've got an outcross. But they do, yeah, I think the hen complements the cockbird. See if I can get the cockbird to move. There we go. So, yeah, you can see that the extra size on the hen, hopefully, with them both looking a little bit at the camera. So these are going to go into cage number 2. We'll have to see how these get on. Hopefully we'll get a few more Lutino hens, but if not, we'll get hopefully some nice split cockbirds. Right, so that's the next pair then. I'll just trim the vents and get them into cage number 2, as I say. Okay, and this is going to be the new partner for the Dominant Pied. You might remember he's been in the breeding cage with another hen, but that hen just continued to lay clear eggs. So I've decided to partner him with this light green. Now this light green is again is a 2023 rung bird. It's not a brilliant bird by any means. It does have a reasonable depth of mask, and some nice spots. So hopefully it will add spots to this Dominant Pied. Although in fairness, this Dominant Pied cockbird, although he doesn't have spots, his youngster does have spots. So so it's not like it's a fault that he's passing on or didn't do last time we bred with him anyway. So I do, the Dominant Pied is a nice bird from my point of view. It looks very nice, got nice width, and this hen is a, like I say, not the greatest of birds, but I'm in an hour about putting one of the early birds that we tried before, one of the dark greens you might remember that we put in the cages right at the beginning. But given that so there are a number of sisters to that dark green, and none of them yet have produced any full eggs. So my feeling was, rather than put one of those back in and risk again this cockbird or the hen not producing any full eggs, I try him with a slightly lesser bird, but with the hope that we're going to get something off him. I hope that makes sense. It's not, I mean, when I say a lesser bird, this was in the cage it was one of the birds that I held back just in case. So it did do okay in the rundown. So, it's not a terrible bird. It does have a little bit of length about her. So we'll see how these two get on in the breeding cage. Hopefully a bit better than the last one, or the last hen that we put with this Dominant Pied. Again, let me know your thoughts. Not, like I say, the hen isn't the greatest of hens, but it's what we've got available, so it's what we will put with him. And again, because this bird is an outcross, there's no inbreeding coefficient for this pair. So we will put the cockbird back into cage number 3. with this new hen for him, and hopefully we might get some more chicks off this cockbird. Right, time to trim the vents, pop them both into the cage. And the final of the new pairs that are going down in this episode. So again, the Cobalt cockbird we've had in the breeding cage for a little while. I've just got him out, so he's panting a little bit and a bit fluffed up, but he's all right. Anyway, so he's been in the breeding cage a little while, and again, this was the one where the hen went off. Do you remember in the last episode we tried to save one of the chicks that had hatched, but she had left, she abandoned the nest. So she's having a rest. We know this Cobalt is capable of filling eggs, and the light green hen on the left, which has a little bit of swank about her, doesn't she? She's got a little bit of style, I suppose. She was in the breeding cages earlier and didn't actually produce anything, so I'm hoping she's a 2024 run bird, a little bit older now, and as we know this cockbird can fill eggs, hopefully this time round we will get something off of her. They're not related, well they are, they're related by a great grandmother, got that right way round, and then some great grandfather and grandmothers in very distantly related. So there's a little bit of a relationship there. I think the inbreeding coefficient was probably about 17%, so quite, bit on the low side for what I would normally like to get in there, but not too low that they're not there's not some line breeding going on there, so that's quite good. And certainly the great grandfather was one of my birds that actually helped produce some of my better birds. So again, they've got that. Hopefully they will click together and produce some quite nice youngsters. The hen, although she's not showing brilliantly here, did come out quite high in my rundown of hens. He's got nice big spots. Her spots aren't quite so big, but there we go. So hopefully they will complement each other. I think they've got a little bit, she looks a bit narrow in the head when I look at her, so I don't know how she came out quite so high on my rundown. Maybe she looked better when I was looking at her earlier on in the year, and it might be just that she's pulling a little bit that isn't helping. So there we are. This is the last of the new pairs that we're putting in. We'll see how they get on. Again, I need to just redo their vents and pop them into. These two are going into breeding cage number 4, which is where the Cobalt has just come out of. Cobalt looks terrible at the moment, doesn't he? But there we go. Right. Let's get them in the breeding cage. So I have now put all of the new pairs in their relevant cages. Let's touch wood again, and hopefully that all of those pairs will be successful this time around. Thanks for all those who fed back on the last video and mentioned the comments. I think virtually everybody agreed that they preferred the old music to the new music, hence the old music at the start of this episode. So from now on we will be using the old music at the start of the episode and the new music, or some new music, at the end of the episode. As always, if you've got anything you would like to comment on, anything at all, or any questions you'd like to ask, then do put them in the comment section down below. Don't forget, hit the big like button, help promote the video more widely across YouTube and get bird keeping more generally out to a slightly wider audience. And if you're not yet a subscriber, then of course please do subscribe to the channel and help this channel to grow. If you want early notifications, then of course do hit the bell icon, and you should get those through via an email, I believe. Anyway, that is just about all we've got time for in this episode. As usual, please do stay safe and enjoy your birds.